Good morning and welcome. Hi, everybody. Hi. Okay, so as per my note, focus today is on the lower back. It actually takes most of the weight of the upper body. So there are things that we need to do, which is, one thing is, of course, more weight up top, more pressure on the lower back. And you know, I know that some people, of course, can hurt their backs badly. And in that event, you got to be really careful with your yoga, but this is all about being proactive and taking care of it. So strengthening it, stretching it. And the one thing that I'd really like you to pay attention to, both on the mat and off the mat, is we sink into, the waist sinks into the hips. I see myself sometime putting my makeup on, doing my hair, I'm sinking. And I guess that's just the force of gravity, what have you. But think about lifting up out of your waist and out of your pelvic cavity, because that's where we tend to sink, and that takes a hit on the lumbar. The other things, of course, strengthening the core. So we'll do a little bit of that today. Sitting with good posture. That is number one, because we spend a lot of time sitting. We watch television or whatever, and then we read. And if we're not sitting properly, all of these things create that wear and tear and eventually discomfort in the lower back. Now, thankfully right now, touch wood, I have no back issues. I've had a couple of little accidents, falling on ice and stuff, and that will affect things. But basically, definition of low back pain, dull ache in the hips or pelvis, muscle spasms or tightness, sciatica. That's a real bummer. That's the sharp tingling that will go right through your glutes, all down the side of your leg, one leg. You've got sciatica on both sides, so you can have it on either side, but the good news is you won't have it on both sides at the same time. Pain that worsens with sitting, that tells you you've got lower back issues. That's why we come to our mats and practice yoga. Or pain that's noticeably worse in the morning. So you've stiffened up overnight, maybe your bed is not the best. So sitting too long is really like the new smoking. It's called dead butt syndrome, which is interesting because we've referred to cigarettes as butts, blah, blah, blah. You got that, right? Okay, so with those few words, let's begin on our backs. So come on down onto your backs. And what's great about lying down on our backs is a reminder that we can be supported by the earth on our mats. And just breathe here for a moment. Legs can be bent or straight, whatever feels good on your back at this point. Breathing fully, deeply, and letting go completely. So even I notice when I'm, I guess upset, when you think of a dog where its hair raises on its upper back, I can feel that in my spine if I'm around somebody that really gives me the heebie-jeebies. So become aware of any kind of tension or stress that may be lingering, lying in wait in your spine, any part, but of course we're focusing on the lumbar spine. Okay, so let's start with gently drawing both knees up towards the chest. Now, notice the stretch in the lower back when you bring both of your knees up towards your chest. So it's not about pushing tight. Class today is partly about creating some spaciousness, some expansion in that lower back area. And if you wish, you can do a little bit of a rocking here, or with your knees, you can draw circles. And the wider your knees are apart, the more territory you'll cover on your lower back. But you'll also be getting into your glutes. Notice if there's any special place that feels really good or needs some TLC, and just linger there a little bit. But drawing your knees up, as I said, feel the stretch through the lower back. Of course, it gets into the hips. And it's interesting too, because The lower back is kind of the command center, if you will. And you can now take the soles of your feet and place them on the floor. Have your ankles or your feet just underneath your knees. But what I'm starting to say is it's the command center for musculature that affects the hips, the glutes, the legs, right down into the feet. So this is an interesting and very important area. With your arms beside your body and your palms facing down, I want you to rock to tilt your pelvis up, pull your abs in, and exhale all the air out. And then inhale and rock on your sacrum and tilt your pelvis towards the floor and your tailbone towards the floor, actually. On the inhale and exhale, rock on your sacrum, bringing your belly button towards your spine, pressing your lower lumbar area into the floor, exhaling, and engage your core here. And then inhale, and you may wish to start to do this on your own breath. So as you press your tailbone into the floor and extend through the lumbar region, we're inhaling. And then when we draw the tailbone off the floor, to press the tailbone up and draw the belly in towards the lower spine, pulling your abs in. Really pull them in. And in order to do that, you've got to let go and exhale all the air out. And do this a couple of more times on your own breath. Inhaling to lengthen and expand. And exhaling. I guess they're taking the little kids out. You know what? The noise should stop just in a moment. We're hoping. Noise, it's the world we live in. Okay, and when you're done your last round, come into neutral. And now take your arms out to the side, shoulder height, draw one knee up and draw the other knee up. Pressing the small of your back into the floor. I want you to keep your shoulders on the mat. Your knees, your feet, and your thighs are pressing together gently. Inhaling in place, pressing the lower back into the floor, and then exhale, lower both knees over to the left, keeping your shoulders on the mat. This is called lumbar rotation. Yeah, we do it frequently, but this is a beautiful release and stretch, creating expansion and spaciousness through the lower back. So it's not sitting that's the problem, it's sitting too long that's the problem. And the other issue, as you inhale and slowly bring the knees back to center, do it slowly so you activate your core, pulling your belly in towards your spine, keep your belly active. And then slowly exhaling the knees over to the right side, keeping shoulders, especially the left shoulder, on the mat. The problem is that we don't move through a range of motions when we're sitting, movements. We don't do anything other than hopefully sit up straight. But if we don't activate all of the different movements, then when we go to do something quickly or sharply, that's where we can inhale back to center, create a damaging or painful force on a ligament or tendon or a joint that's just not used to moving in that direction because we haven't done it. And then slowly lower both knees over to the left, lumbar rotation, stretching. I mean, this nicely stretches the obliques, the muscles that wrap around the side of your waist. internal and external obliques. It opens up the rib cage, stretches the intercostal muscles. Inhale, slowly come back to center. And last time, dropping with control the knees over to the other side. Breathing into your lumbar area. And inhale, coming back to center. And then lower one leg and the other leg back down. Bring your arms beside your body with your palms facing down and extend your legs straight out in front of you. We're going to come into, I don't know if somebody made this name up, but banana asana. So literally we're going to take our bodies into the shape of a banana. And how we're going to do that is with our arms beside our body and our palms facing down. Tuck your shoulder blades under your heart. Tilt your chin towards the center of your chest. So your feet are together. Your heels are pressing into the floor, as are your palms. And this is how you're going to lift your body up and take your hips and pelvis 3 inches to the left. About that, about 3 inches. Okay? So now you're kind of bowing out to the left. Now, scooch your arms up and over your head, reaching and stretching. And now, with your right hand, take hold of your left wrist and pull it towards the right. And then I want you to lift your left leg up and just cross at the ankle. So left leg is on top of the right, your hips are to the left, and you're kind of coming into a crescent moon. And speaking of the moon, it will be a full moon on Saturday night. And just breathe here in this crescent moon, stretching the left side of the body laterally, focusing on the lower back. One more breath in. Exhale, uncross your legs, release your hands, slowly draw your arms down beside your body. And once again, you're pressing your hands and your heels into the floor and bring yourself back into the center. And just take a breath here. And exhale out. Inhaling, pressing the palms into the floor and the heels. Let's lift the hips and pelvis and take them about 3 inches. It may only be 1 inch, maybe 2, over to the right side now. And then inhale, stretch the arms. You can take them along the floor, up and overhead, reaching and stretching. And maybe you'll take your feet a little bit more to the left. Your hips are to the right. And then with your left hand, take hold of your right wrist, and you're pulling it over to the left side. And then you're going to lift your right leg up and just cross it over your left ankle. So Bananarasana on the right side. Now this is pretty intense, so I want you to also think about finding not perfection, but acceptance. And acceptance leads to the second niyama, which I will be addressing today, called santosha. The second niyama is santosha, contentment. And the Yoga Sutras, all of the interpretations pretty much point towards contentment being the greatest source of happiness. Life is going to throw us lots of curveballs. In fact, the longer we live, the more we're at the plate of life, dodging bullets or what have you. But when we find that we can accept, surrender, and feel grateful for what is good, no matter what's happening, uncross your leg, Reach the arms straight up and overhead, and slowly draw the hands down beside the body. And once again, lift the hips up, bring them back right into the center. And just spend a moment here breathing into your belly and exhaling into your lower back. So, as I say, no matter what's going on in our lives, and everybody's got stuff going on, sometimes it can be a little much to take it all in, but I love what one person said to me once. If you went to an auction to auction off your troubles, after hearing other people's troubles, you would buy your own back. Okay, draw one knee into your chest and draw the other knee into your chest. And again, let's give the lower back a nice, sweet, spacious little stretch. Now, if it feels okay, place your hands underneath the backs of your thighs, and we're going to rock up to a seated and then rock back. If that's not for you today, you can once again either take one knee over to the other side and then take the other knee over to the other side. But if you want to, rock up and back. Now, be mindful. If this doesn't feel good, don't do it. And one more. And that will do. All righty, you have a block? Let's come into a seated position, because if we're going to spend a lot of time sitting on our assets, then every once in a while we can take a break and we can do cat-cow in a seated posture. So placing your hands on your outer thighs, inhale, lift and lengthen right up through the crown. And as you exhale, take your back towards the back, tucking your chin, rounding your spine, and then inhale. And this is where we want to reach and perhaps arch the lower back just a bit as we come into extension. So you can do this in your chairs. Exhale, rounding the back, tucking the chin, hanging onto your knees here so you can really press back and inhale. And again, you may wish to do this on your own breath. Inhaling to lengthen and expand and extend, and exhale to round. Feel your abs working here. One more time. Inhale, lifting, and you can just go into straight extension if you wish, or you can arc your back. Now, this may feel a little bit strained because most of the time we're not in extension, we're more in flexion in our lower back, so just be aware. But as I said, the lower back takes the brunt of most of the upper body, well, all of the upper body movements, including our posture, our twisting, our bending, our reaching and stretching, and the weight of our upper body. And last time, rounding, dropping the chin. And inhale, come to neutral. And then on a next inhale, let's sweep the arms up. Exhale, twist and turn to the right, lowering your arms, bringing your left hand onto your right knee, other arm behind, inhaling in place. Exhale, release, and then inhale, sweep the arms up. Coming back to center. Exhale, twist and turn to the other way. You might notice more mobility on one side than the other. Just notice, inhale, lengthening, exhale, holding, and then inhale, sweep the arms up, exhale, float the arms down. Now leave your right hand over to the right side and inhale the left up. Lift and lengthen. This is where you want to lift out of your waist. Now tippy toe the fingers of the right hand over. Keep the opposite sit bone on your mat. So don't roll over onto your right sit bone. Keep that right sit bone planted. So you really get a good stretch. And then inhale, coming up. Exhale, lower that hand down. Inhale, sweep the other arm up. Lifting up out of your waist. Exhale, tippy toe the fingers. Over to the other side, reaching and stretching. Inhale, back up. Exhale, float the arms down. All right, remove your blocks. You'll need them a little bit later. And then cat and cow truly does stretch out the lower back. So we did it in the seated position, but before we get into some more intense strengthening, let's make sure we've really stretched. So on an exhale, round your spine, tuck your chin, pull your bellies in, and drop your tail. And on an inhale, curl your toes under, hollow out your lower back as you lift your tail, lengthen through the front of your body and lift your heads. And exhale, rounding. Pull your bellies in and curl your toes under. Think about lengthening your spine as you hollow out your lower back, lifting and lengthening through the heart, chest, neck. And exhale, flatten the tops of your feet as you round your spine. And last time, curl the toes under, hollow out your lower back, lifting your tail, and return to neutral. Now, step your right leg forward, turn your right toes out, and perhaps even take your foot a little bit wider than a runner's lunge. Now, this is where you may wish to use your blocks. You're going to place your hands to the center line. Whoops. To the center line of your mat. All right, so this is where you may need some extra height if you do. And then you're going to lower down. And the idea of this stretch is getting into, now you're lengthening your lower back, but it's about your psoas. Now we've talked about the psoas muscle before. The psoas muscle originates in the lateral lumbar lower back area, and then it wraps around your hip and it comes under your leg and it attaches to, or inserts is what they call it in anatomical terms, to the top of your femur, the big bone in your leg. If this puppy is tight, it can cause problems, make your lower back cranky. So you're only going to go as low as you feel you can in this position. But you're focusing here on the right hip. You can keep your hands to center line. And of course, you're using your hands as leverage to lower whatever amount you can in this modified runner's stretch. One more breath here. Exhale. And then curl your toes under. And then, or actually flatten the backs of your feet. Keep your right heel on the floor. And we're just going to lower the torso over top of the thigh area. Now, tight hamstrings, they pull on the sits bones, which has an effect on the lower back as well. making it difficult to honor that lumbar curve in your spine. So you're breathing into your hamstrings here. And if they're firing, they're one of the most fiery muscles in the body, to be honest. That's why I say firing, because I almost feel like they're on fire sometimes. So just breathe into them. Hamstrings are tight on most of us because we don't stretch them. And then inhale, come back, and draw that knee back and under, and then send the left foot in front, and then walk your toes out to the left side, and then maybe take the foot and the foot and lower part of your leg also wider apart. And then bring your hands to the midline of your mat. And then you can scooch that back leg a little bit further back and lower whatever amount you can. So now we're working the psoas. Again, it attaches on the other side of your spine. It's quite a broad originator where it covers off a number of the lumbar. So it's on the outside of the spine of the vertebral column. It comes around the hip and attaches to the upper leg bone, the femur, the largest bone in the body. And this is why when I say that back problems can be felt in the hips, in the glutes, the entire leg, of course, we know that with sciatica, right down to the feet. So by taking care of the lower back, we take care of a lot of areas in our bodies. And then coming back, walking the foot a little bit further over, and again, stretching that front leg, the hamstring. So you're taking your hips backwards. Keep your heel on the floor. Your whole foot doesn't need to be on the floor on the left side. Just keep the heel on the floor. Heel to earth, and lower your torso. And again, you're going to be feeling this in your hamstrings, so don't do too much, don't do too little. Breathe into them. The breath is key. And one more full breath in. And deep exhaling. Lovely. And then bring that leg back. And let's take our modified child's pose. So take your knees as wide as your mat. Flatten the tops of your feet. Big toes touch. And then slowly, if you're prone to cramping in the feet, slowly take your hips back towards your heels. If bending your knees this much is an issue, then you're going to be in puppy pose with your knees under your hips and just reaching your arms forward, letting your forehead be on the floor. Or if you need height, in either position, fold your arms or stack your fists for that added height. Breathing into your side and back ribs. All righty, inhale, come on up. Sweep your right arm up, reaching up and stretching up. Exhale, thread the needle, reaching underneath the left arm, lowering your shoulder, the side of your face, and tippy toe the fingers of the left hand straight out in front. And again, send your hips a little bit back here to create more length, space, expansion in that lower back area. Stretching is one of the best things you can do for your lumbar, your lower back area. Probably why cats and dogs don't seem to have sore backs. They stretch all the time. And draw the left hand back under your shoulder and press up. And then let's sweep the left arm up, twisting, reaching, exhale, thread the needle, reaching through as far as you can under your right arm, lowering your shoulder, the side of your face, onto your mat, tippy toe the right fingers, and stretch the right arm straight out in front. Breathing into that low back area. Remember, if you wish, take your sits bones, your hips back towards your heels. Get a little more space into that lower back. When I was thinking about how the wear and tear happens on our backs if we don't take care, it's not a great anomaly, but people who drive with their foot on the gas and then put down the brakes and the gas and the brakes and the gas and the brakes, I mean, you wear out the brakes. I really wish I could have digital signs across my car that would penetrate some people's brains and say, come on, why are you racing to that stoplight, that stop sign? Anyway, draw that right arm back and let's place the hands underneath the shoulders, curl the toes under and lift your hips up and let's gently walk the dog. This is another beautiful stretch for the lower back. It should feel really good. So gently straightening one leg, bending the other. Relax your neck. Exhale when you change. Bending one leg, straightening the other. And changing nice and slowly. And last time, changing. And then come into neutral with your knees soft. Walk your hands back towards your legs. Keep your knees bent here, please. And then let your upper body hang over your thighs. And then take hold of your elbows. And just breathe, imagining your spine like a string of pearls from your tailbone right through the crown of your head. Do not hold your head at all. Swing it a little bit so you know that you're not holding it. As you breathe, there's more string between the pearls, thinking of your pearls being your vertebra, and the string as the nerves. Spaciousness, you can even do a little rocking from side to side. And then release your hands to the floor, let your head and your arms hang, press the soles of your feet into the mat, and slowly coming up one vertebra at a time, keeping your chin tucked into your chest, and let your head be the last thing to come up. Ah. Okay, are those drugs kicking in? Martha. Okay, no, they're good drugs, hormones. Okay, inhale, sweep the arms up, interlock your fingers, Release your pointer fingers, bring your arms right beside your ears. Now, axial extension. This is lengthening, lifting out of your waist, reaching up, and then exhale to the right. Now, as you bend sideways, do not lose any length. So don't bend that far. Keep the length in your spine. Breathing, inhale, straightening up. Exhale, other side. Inhale, up. Exhale, lower your head back. And then bring your arms beside your head. So these back bends are excellent, of course, for your spinal column, for the alignment, the integrity. Inhale, reaching up. Now release your arms, bend your knees, swan dive forward. Fingertips tented on the floor, your head's hanging. Inhaling, come halfway up, tabletop your spine, place your hands on your front shins. Exhale, bend your knees. Now, with your knees bent and your butt down, bring your left arm to the outside of your right knee. Open your palms, sideways prayer, twisting your spine. So you're looking to the side, sideways prayer. Breathing in. Exhale, forward fold, keeping your knees bent. Let your head hang. On an inhale, flatten your spine, coming halfway up with your hands on your shins. Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees, drop your hips, bring the other elbow to the outside of the opposite leg. Prayer your hands. Twisting your body, drop your hips as much as you can. Nice, everybody. One more breath in, exhale, release. Keep your knees soft, let your heads hang, slowly roll up one vertebra at a time, keeping your chin tucked into your chest. Okay, anybody needs a sip of water? Remind me at the end of the class to talk about allergies if anybody has them. Yeah, I think we all got them. Okay, so let's start with our feet about a fist width apart, and let's just remember good standing posture. The longer I teach, the more I look at people, and sometimes I just want to take them and park them up against a wall and say, can you do that? And now walk away. But all right, lift your toes off the floor. Feel your big toe mounts and baby toe mounts. Feel the center front of your heel grounding down through the floor, and then lower your toes. Engage your thighs by lifting up on your kneecaps. Notice the effect on the pelvic bowl. It is neither spilling forward nor backwards. We want these level. Lift your sternum away from the pelvic floor, shoulders up to the ears. Exhale, push them back, and then pull them down by your sides and pull your armpits down. Again, you may be feeling this through your chest muscles because so much we're like, ugh. So I hope you're feeling it. And then let your chin float horizontal, parallel to the floor. Let the crown of your head float up and breathe. We're going to move into half sun salutations. Again, gentle expansion and spaciousness for your lower back. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Turn the palms out. Bend your knees. Float. Floating. Bringing your torso onto your thighs, fingertips tented on the floor. On an inhale, you're lifting your hips up. Now, you don't need to straighten your legs. You can also use some added height. If you want to straighten your legs here, It's not about touching your toes to the floor. It's about lengthening and finding space in your lower back. Please let your heads hang. On an exhale, bend your knees, sink your hips, shoulders back, lengthen spine. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up and overhead. Feel your thighs, they should stay engaged. Turn the palms out, exhale, float the arms down, taking up lots of space. Inhale, keeping your thighs engaged. Exhale, soften and bend your knees, float your torso onto your thighs, fingertips tented just outside of and in front of your toes. Inhale, let the crown of your head float down as your tailbone floats up. Please give your head a swing so you know you are not holding your head. Exhale, bend your knees, drop your hips, shoulders back. Lengthen your spine by lengthening and lifting through the heart and the neck. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Exhale, turn the palms out and float the arms down, taking up lots of space. Inhale. Turn the palms out, exhale, bend the knees, swan dive onto your thighs, fingertips tented. Inhale, lift your hips, let your crown float down, tailbone floating up. Exhale, bend your knees, sink your hips, feel your torso on your thighs, shoulders back, lengthen spine. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, float the arms down one more time. Inhale. Turn the palms out, exhale. Inhale, let the head hang. Uttanasana, great stretch for your back. You can even do this from a seated position. Exhale, drop your hips by bending your knees. Press your shoulders away from your ears, lengthen from tailbone through the crown. Inhale, sweeping up. And exhale, float the arms down, taking up lots of space. And give your legs a good shake out. Okay, so we're going to do warrior 1 to humble, back to warrior 1, and then warrior 3, which is a balanced posture, all for strengthening the back. She ducked out, she didn't want to do it. I'm kidding. Okay, so coming up to the fronts of your mats. Remember, in warrior 1, your foot position is much different than warrior 2. Step your right foot back about 2.5 to 3 feet. So you don't need as wide a stance, but I want you to create separation between your feet, like there's a railroad track, so that you can orientate your torso towards the front of your mat. You're going to bend your front knee, so this is like a high lunge. Inhale and sweep the arms up. So the anchor is always your back leg. Now, to honor your arches, make sure you're pressing into the outside of both feet. Breathe. Inhale, stretching up. Exhale, take your arms behind your back and interlock your fingers and squeeze your shoulder blades together. Keep your legs as they are. Inhale, lifting your hearts, your eyes, your gaze. Exhale, forward fold between your front thighs, leading with your hearts, lifting arms up and letting your head hang. Now, release your hands to the floor. This is where you may have blocks for added height. So placing them where it's handy. And then can we try to straighten the front leg? So coming into Parsvottanasana, front angle bend. Again, we're stretching those hamstrings. They play a big role in keeping the lower back loose. spacious. And then bend your front knee once again, sweep the arms up, come back into warrior one. So this is where we have options with our arms for warrior three. It's a balanced posture. You are going to come up onto the ball of your back foot, and you're going to transfer your weight onto your front foot. And then you're going to lift your back leg up. Now you may wish to find a table or a chair, and these are your three arm positions. They can be forward, sideways, or right beside your body. One more breath in, bend the front knee, step your back leg back, come back into warrior one. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, float your arms down, and let's pivot and go to the other side. And now the people who are staring at you, you can stare at them. Okay, so again, make sure your feet are about 2.5 to 3 feet apart, and they're separated. So separate them as much as you need to in order to comfortably have your torso facing towards the front of your mat. And then bend your front knee. Your knee shouldn't go further than your ankle. Inhale, sweep the arms up, reaching up, stretching up, maybe even looking up. So again, to honor your arches, press into the outside. You can press into your baby toe. That'll take up both feet, keeping the arches lifted. And then inhale, sweep the arms straight up. Exhale, float the arms down and around behind your back. Interlock your fingers. Squeeze your shoulder blades together as you straighten your arms. And then exhale, keep the front knee bent, back leg straight. Lengthen as you fold. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. So easy to keep the waist out of the pelvic bowl when you're stretching forward. Reaching the arms up whatever amount you can. Be mindful if you have any shoulder issues. Try to relax the neck, letting the head hang. One more breath in. Exhale, releasing fingertips to the floor. Adding some height if need be. And then inhale and straighten that front leg. Now, you could also bend the back leg if straightening the front leg's putting too much pressure. You can take some of that off by bending the back leg, but perhaps both legs can be straight as you release your torso right over that front leg and feel your hamstrings on fire. But really, you're just stretching them. That's the other thing. When we sit a lot, our hamstrings shorten. And we can't help it today. That's the way it is. We drive places, we've got computers, iPads we got to check in with every 5 minutes. Heaven forbid you don't answer an email the same day you get it. Oh boy. Okay, bend that front knee, inhale, sweeping up, coming back into warrior one. Okay, so now, if you, for balance, if you want, go to a chair or a wall and to hold on to it if balance is an issue. Transfer your weight onto your front foot and then slowly lift the back leg off the floor, reaching forward as you lift your back leg up. Now we want to try and keep our hips, pelvis, our hips level here, but of course it wants to tilt to the side of the standing leg. Reaching and stretching. One more breath in. Exhale, step back. Coming back into warrior one. Inhale, sweep up. Now pivot on the side of your mat. Bring your arms down for a moment. Take your feet as wide as you can on your side mat. And then inhale, arms to shoulder height. Exhale, forward fold. Just halfway. Tent your fingers below your face. Tabletop your spine. Make sure your neck is in line with your spine. On an inhale, lengthen out of your hips. Exhale, bend your right leg and bring your hips towards your heel, or as much as you can. So again, creating length, stretch, and spaciousness and ease in the lower back. Inhaling up, over to the other side. Into the center. Now walk your feet in towards one another, but keep them about 2 and 2.5 feet apart. Now, we're going to come into Malasana before we come down onto our mats for supine pigeon position. If you need to come into Malasana, if you need height under your heels, you're going to let your butt sink down to the floor. Now again, if your knees can't handle this, don't go into it, but or you can roll up the back of your mat, you can use blocks. You want to try and get your heels onto the floor and drop your sits bones. So your feet should be turned out. Your knees are almost aligned with your feet. So knees are bent. So if you roll up the back of your mat, or you use your blocks, 2 blocks under your heels if you need to. Of course, you could also use your blocks to rest your butt on. We did that a couple of weeks ago. So there's an option. Junie, see how you got, are you okay like that? Okay, so this is a nice stretch for the lower back. And the way half of the women in the world give birth. Okay, let's bring it all down onto our mats. And we'll do one of the best postures for releasing tension from the lower back. So coming all the way down with your knees bent, inhaling in place, exhale, place your right ankle on top of your left knee, right ankle on top of left knee. You may wish to tuck your shoulder blades under your heart at this point as well. And then you're going to feed your right hand through both legs and bring the left knee towards you and interlock your fingers behind your left knee. So left hand is outside of the left knee. Your right hand goes in between your legs. Now, depending on your anatomy, whether your arms are long or short, you may be able, and of course your hips, you may be able to interlock your fingers around the front of that knee. And then pull towards you. So again, we're creating spaciousness in the lower back. You can relax the leg that's bent. The foot doesn't have to be up in the air. You can just let that bent knee hang over. Now, if you can press your sacrum a little more into the floor, or your tailbone towards the floor, you get a little bit of an arch in the lower back. We didn't do Cobra today. We didn't do a lot of back bends, but we did do some when we did our cat-cow. They are always great for the low back. Awesome, truly. And let's unfold that leg. Place both soles of the feet on the floor. If you need to adjust your shoulder blades again, tucking them under your heart, your chin towards the center of your chest. Bring the left ankle on top of the right knee. Press that left knee away from you with your hand. And then draw the right knee towards you, feeding your left arm between your legs, your right arm on the outside, either interlocking behind the knee, or if you're able to reach, in front of the knee, whatever works best for you today. Breathing into your lower back, but of course the hips are affected. Well, they'll affect either one. If you have tight hips, your back won't be as free. If you have pain in your lower back or tight back, this can also impact your hips. It's all connected. And we store fear in our back. And I guess that's what I was trying to describe earlier when I say that, I could feel the fur on my upper back when I'm near somebody who I don't want to be around. Not a good feeling. You see it on dogs, but we can have that stuff stored in our spine. So just to become aware of it, that sometimes our tight, cranky backs may have something to do with our emotions, our unwillingness to accept reality as it is. And then pressing the tailbone towards the floor, finding contentment, santosha. And you can't go looking for it. It has to find you. And it finds you when you're in a more accepting, surrendering place. Having faith, prayer is a great thing when something's going on and getting other people to pray. If that doesn't feel good to you, you don't need to try it, but I believe in it. And then release and uncross your legs. And one more time, draw both knees up one at a time, pulling the knees towards you, feeling that stretch in the lower back. If your back is cranky or a little tight, it can be this simple. Now, I realize too that if your back hurts, getting down onto the floor may be an issue. But if you're, spending time in bed or wondering how your back feels, and before you even get out of bed, you may wish to give it this little stretch. And when you're ready, straighten your legs out in front. If you have something to cover your eyes, like a little lavender pillow, eye cover, give it a rub. Rub the pad, and it will release more of the fragrance of the lavender, which is thought to be healing on many, many levels. And when you're ready, let your eyeballs sink into their sockets with your eyes closed, of course. Arms beside your body with your palms facing up in the open and receiving position. Separate the biting surfaces of the teeth. Remember, a lax jaw connects through fascia with your hips. So tight hips, notice if you have tight jaws, you clench your jaws, you grind your teeth. Let it go. Just the simple act of letting the corners of your mouth turn up is like planting a seed of contentment. Working with some of the ideas that I share with you is the only way you'll ever know if they work. And remember, It's not about perfection in this life, because there isn't such a thing. It's a moving target. It's about progress. So if you work with things like turning the corner of your mouth up, and you notice and you feel a difference in your level of contentment, service on Sunday was quite beautiful, the music. And a gal who at one point was a street worker, she's created a beautiful book of poetry, which I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. And a lot of it was used in the service. But one that I heard that I thought was lovely was this: help me be a voice for those still silent. Help me inspire peace in a world so violent. Help me share the light with those still struggling in the dark. Help me to always keep an open mind and a humble heart. Enjoying the support of the earth on your mats. Allowing the benefits to be absorbed by your body and your mind. Feeling the release, renewal, and rejuvenation. Shavasana is one of the most important yoga asanas, as our bodies assume perfect alignment, perfect posture. Inhaling gratitude into your hearts and letting go of scarcity. Inhaling love into your hearts and letting go of resentment. Inhaling faith, exhaling doubt. Inhaling the life force long, full, and deep. And deep exhaling. And only when you're ready, roll over onto your right side, using your bottom arm as a pillow, bending your knees. And when you're ready, and only when you're ready, use your top arm to press yourself back up into a seated position. Thank you for sharing your yoga journey with me today. Namaste.